All right, so I have completed the series. I have now read all of PTSD Radio. This is a sort of, we'll call it completed. It's on permanent hiatus, which is disappointing. I have been told, or at least led to believe, that the story was completed enough within these 3/6 volumes. I think there's 2 volumes in each omnibus or something like that. That the story was complete enough that it didn't leave you hanging. And yes and no, that's kind of true. I'm still very happy I read it, but in no way is this a completed story, and I don't think it's meant to be. I think it is supposed to be unknown, lots of questions, lots of things left unanswered, not really fully understanding the full history and context of what is going on. But again, very happy I read this one, and I do recommend it. But what led me to pick this up? Apparently, the author claims to be haunted when he was writing this story and had to stop because the more he told the story, the more he talked about it with those around him, the more terrible and unexplainable things would happen. So he's just like, something is telling me not to continue this story, and I'm not putting my life at risk, so we're done. And I don't know if that's a marketing ploy or if it actually is legit. They go into pretty, not detail, but nope, not this one. In the final one, there is an entire section just about how he, the author, was being cursed. And then he's just like, if nothing else happens, I will continue my story. I'll chalk this up to a coincidence, and we'll go from here. And then the manga continues, because that was just a little aside while he was in the hospital dying of a blood disorder. And then we get some more chapters, and then it's another one. It's like, hey, remember how I said if nothing else happens, we chalk this up to a strange coincidence and forget it ever happened? Yeah, some more stuff happens, so we're done. This is the last chapter you're getting from me. And I'm like, okay. Didn't expect that to make it into the manga. So what is PTSD Radio? I wish I could tell you, because it is an experience. Do not go in expecting a strong narrative plot line. It is there, but it's confusing, it's told out of order, and I'm not exactly sure if we have the full scope of picture of what happens. Do not expect explorations on characters in depth. You have some reoccurring characters. I'm very interested in them and their history and how they tie together. I need to reread this entire series. I need to take the chapters and figure out the chronological order of it all and read it that way next. But in terms of character arcs, not so much. The closest we have to a protagonist would be they were in a relationship but have since broken up, and it is, so I'll just refer to it as girlfriend, boyfriend, or ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, because obviously I don't remember names. We've established this. If you're new to the channel, I'm bad with names. So the girlfriend had her head shaved as a child by her grandmother, saying, this is how we protect you from, I think, spirits or something like that. And you have to do this twice in your life, 2 ages. Why are these ages blacked out in the book? I do not know. When ages come up a little while later in a flashback, again, blacked out. I don't know the significance of these ages. Do you have any idea how interested I am in what age you're supposed to shave your head in this story? Because I am. So she broke up with her boyfriend after it seemed like she was being haunted. Something was always tugging on her hair, and now it's gotten worse since she's left him. And boyfriend has a new girlfriend. They meet up, and she's like, I'm giving this curse back to you. I think you gave it to me. And then his girlfriend starts having similar things happening to her. And then we go into their backgrounds when they were together. Characters who may or may not be these people. That's kind of hard to tell sometimes, because it's all little tiny stories, all little vignettes that don't seem connected, but all have this overarching theme surrounding some kind of demon, spirit, god of hair. And then we finally get some background as we zoom to the past with this old village, and they're worshiping this statue. It's very important for their rituals concerning death rites, and they're praying to it, and it seems very benevolent at first. It's just comfort. It's a regular religious idol. What can you do? But then they start praying, certain ones start praying to it to curse people. And you get a tree with stakes in it at one point in time because someone nailed a doll to it to enact a curse. And then this statue has persisted throughout years and generations, and it comes into modern day, just in a bush randomly. It's like, oh, what's out there? And there's just all this creepy imagery. The highlight of this story is the imagery. Like, by God, oh my God, the imagery. You turn the page and it's like jump scare. Was this the most terrifying manga I ever read? No, it's, well, maybe, but that's probably because I'm still new to exploring horror manga. But, like, was I scared reading this? No. There were a couple panels that I'm like, oh, that is terrifying. Yep, that is a lot. I'm pretty sure I could open this to just about any page. Yeah, I could open this to any page and you're just going to be like, what the hell, haunting imagery? That one's tame. Let me, one that's not spoilery. There's one specific one I want near the beginning that's not spoilery. Just, I mean, come on. The artwork in this is phenomenal. I will say it felt a little bit repetitive at times, especially because not too many of the stories feel like they have an overarching narrative. It's more or less person sees someone acting creepy, goes to creepy person, realizes they have creepy face, jump scare, end. Or, oh, something feels like it's following me, oh, nothing's there, evil face behind them. Or reflection, or your own face distorted. It's like the same thing, a little bit repeated, but then later on we might cut back to one of these stories from a different perspective, or with a little bit more context now. I think two of my favorites being there was one where some creepy person was trying to break into a door in a hallway every single day, just like hands on the walls, forehead pressed to the door as if trying to phase through it, and may or may not have been getting blood on the door. Well, what happened? And then later on we see the perspective from inside that room she's trying to break into, or we see someone up on top of a building and we know someone has jumped, or then we see hands, and then perspectives later we get a little bit more context to that, but nothing is really explained fully of how everything is connected. And I really feel like it just needs one more volume. Just give me one more. I will risk the curse to know what happens next. All right, so a little bit more detail. This figure that they are worshiping is known as Ugashaki? Ushigi? Nope. Ugashi-sama. Something like that. It is a god of hair, essentially. And it seems like it has been corrupted in some way, because through one of the volumes, I think volume 2, we get a flashback that's the furthest back in the past that we've ever gone. And we see it's depicted slightly differently. So this is how it is depicted most of the time. Make your own comments on what it reminds you of. And this is what it looks like during that flashback. Much kinder looking, not quite so weathered, and yeah. And it plays a key role in helping two sisters be reunited when one is lost in the woods. And it turns out that this statue is based off, or is a, give me a second for the name, Jizo statue, which is like a guardian of travelers and lost children. And that makes sense because some of the flashbacks involves a creepy child, or a creepy child's shadow following you around, or a creepy child staring at you from under the bed. My God, some creepy imagery. Not all of it children, but a lot, just creepy imagery, my God. And at one point in time, the villagers in the past had wanted to move away from more superstitious origins and wanted to cultivate the land, farming, industrialization, and they tried destroying the statue. It goes very badly. I don't know what happens during a time frame that will eventually lead from the statue looking how it is to the corrupted form, to just being outside a random building in modern day. We have issues with children finding a box with a like doll head in it that had all these sacred somethings over the box, seals, I guess. And it's like, that's totally not cursed. Like, why, yeah, go right ahead and open that. Hair everywhere. And it's just like, yep, you're totally not cursed. You definitely didn't unleash a curse into modern day. But then you also got talks about like, oh, this apartment building is that rats or something up in the attic put it poison. Did we accidentally kill the guardian of this house and doom everybody? Oh, this house is like run down and evil. Let's just go in. Oh, what's this we found? Comes out, everything's fine. Nothing is like people around. What did you do? They're like, we didn't do anything. There was a face in the window. The imagery in this, like you can know everything going in, because it's not going to matter, because it is the drawings that are the impact of this story. Throughout the series, it's made very clear that the gods do not care about good or bad. They care about their own desires, and this is what it feels like throughout the entire thing. A normal person in their normal everyday life is just going about something mundane, and then all of a sudden, you've drawn the eye of something more than yourself, and you're just kind of praying that it leaves you alone. Like, here is my offering, please don't kill me, goodbye. More in terms of narrative storyline that put together, there is a priest involved who clearly knows more than what he's letting on. He's talking about a article that had been stolen from a temple, but he's convinced it will be returned because bad things normally befall those who have it. So I'm thinking that might be one of the relics related to this hair god, the statue themselves. Maybe that's how it ended up in front of that other building. Like, there's so much little pieces that you realize upon reflection, oh, they were actually talking about this. Or, like, the stories, while separate as they are, there are connections that can be made. And this is a series that would do very well with a reread. My favorite volume was probably volume one. It had the most iconic imagery that I can think of, more memorable characters and character arcs for what little was there. They are the most present here. But I liked volume two because we get a little bit more history into this god and like the furthest back we've gone with them. I like volume three because we go into the author and what they were experiencing. It feels very meta, talking about in somewhat detail, but he's also leaving a lot out, saying, I can't go into this. This is personal. You don't have to trust me on this. I can't tell you. It was too much. It's talking about people going missing. It's talking about weird coincidences. It's talking about being diagnosed with a rare blood disorder that nearly cost him his life. It's talking about how he tried to tell this story to people, but his face would just swell up and he couldn't talk. And as soon as he made the decision not to tell people about this story, the swelling would resolve and he could talk again. And he's just like, okay, something does not want me to tell this story. He's like, enough. You've told enough. Stop now. And he's like, all right, I'm not telling any more of this manga series. So yeah, main criticism is just the very repetitive nature of these short stories, vignettes, as they, if you like binge the entire thing like I did, it does feel very repetitive, but then the overarching narrative, the little glimpses of plot that you get does keep pulling you through. Very happy I read it. That's all I got. Talk to you later. Bye.